welcome to Across the Bifrost, the Mighty Thor podcast, where on each and every episode we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. Eric and I are here today to talk about a few different issues. We're kind of cleaning up our new comics pile. Eric, that's always like a monumental, in your case, a Herculean task to clean up the new comics pile. I think we're gonna kind of clean up some stuff. We're gonna be reading TVA number 4 today, and Mickey and Friends Become the Avengers number 1. Yes, everybody, that's not a fever dream you just heard. That is reality. We are talking about that very crucial issue in the Thor canon. And then we're going to talk about some news that literally made me so happy. The announcement today that Godzilla's coming to the Marvel Universe this summer, and he's crossovering with all these different heroes, Hulk and the X-Men and the Avengers, but we're also going to get Thor versus Godzilla this July. Holy effing balls, man. It's going to be so great. But Eric, I'm excited for these one-on-one chats. I feel like there's it's just a one-on-one conversation, just two dudes talking about comics, but two issues that I wouldn't say have a lot of stakes to them. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's some light reading. Like you said, I really like the idea of sort of cleaning up the pile. Where it actually, if you think about it, we are fortunate to have enough Thor-related content that we've got these things to kind of peruse through. So, not every week it's a brand new Immortal Thor week, and that's fine because we have other Thor-adjacent and Thor-related content to kind of dig into. Yeah,
and I think that is one thing where a few different times people that don't listen to the podcast normally are like, you talk about Thor every week? Is there really that much Thor to go on? It's like, yeah, there's a lot. There's enough Thor to go around because I feel like our guy is getting a little more love, even though he's not in the Avengers right now. But I feel like he's getting a lot of love, especially with this new crossover announcement. But his world just is we've talked about this so many times on the podcast. His world is so ripe for different explorations of it, and we're going to get a really, really, pun intended, goofy one today. But also, the TVA book is heating up. And we're excited for where that's going. And we're going to actually start with the TVA book this week. We have got issue 4 of TVA coming at us. I'm just going to pull up my credits here because I had already switched over to Mickey, and then I didn't switch back. So we have issue 4 written by Catherine Blair and Pere Perez doing the interiors and the cover art. We're at a point in the story where at the end of issue 3, we got the reveal that some version of Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, is in the basement of the TVA, and Gwen had to kind of come to the realization of I might need to tell someone about this. We start issue 4 with Remy LeBeau, who's going to make a name for himself, cooking up some stuff in the kitchen. He's going to make everybody feel a lot better. This was weirdly a Gambit centric issue, which I feel like we haven't really had one super focused on him yet. But he's having a conversation with Miss Minutes, and then the R&D team, our team of heroes with Peggy Carter, Spider-Gwen, B-15, Sylvie, they all get together. And Mobius is about to wake up from his coma, and they're like, okay, all the answers are going to come, with his rendition of events, who stabbed Mobius. And when Mobius wakes up, Eric, all he says is I don't know who stabbed me, but I know it wasn't Jimmy. It's that's really not helpful at all, because we also don't know who stabbed you.
Yeah,
and we were thinking, oh, maybe it was Jimmy.
I can relate. Finally he's awake. We're going to get some answers. Nope. No, you're not. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer.
You get nothing and you like it.
Yeah.
But Mobius does make it very plain to Gwen, hey, these visions, Loki has nothing to do with this. We get another Loki name drop here in this series. And Gwen Gwen and Mobius have a little bit of a disagreement about if she should follow these visions or if she shouldn't, because we've still got this problem of the madness all across the TVA timeline. So we don't get to see a ton of the madness in these books, but we know the threat is out there. And Gwen decides to not follow Mobius's instructions, and she goes back down to the Department of Deferment, and we get our big reveal of our villain that's been behind all these things. It is a green cloaked villain, but Eric, it's not the one that we thought it might be, or some fans reading TVA probably hoped it would be. It's a reveal that Nightmare, one of the Lords of Fear, has been behind this, and Gwen just let the Scarlet Witch out the bag. And holy cow, I have no idea what issue 5 is going to lead to, because Scarlet Witch is on the cover of that issue, clearly in the mood for a fight. So what did you think of issue 4, this story that finally we got this big villainous reveal in the basement of the TVA?
Well, first of all, I just have to say, you have to go back and check the tape, because when we were reviewing issue number 2, if you look through the transcript and do a keyword search for Nightmare, our own Faz Guardian is on the record saying it could be Nightmare. And we were talking about how Nightmare could be causing the madness because he can control dreams and nightmares. So I think we might have talked ourselves out of it, into it, and then back out of it again by then. But
that sounds like us.
But Nightmare is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And so we saw him recently battling the Avengers, and he was kicking everybody's ass except for Thor's, because Thor's more powerful, and
that's like Asgard's ass.
He was like the only one that could resist, could kind of fight back. But yeah. This is the kind of thing that makes me excited, because I think in the very first issue I was talking about how it's like, oh, they're doing that thing again where they have to like face their fears, or it's like a dream and it's a nightmare, and it's like it can become a trope. But when it is the Nightmare, then he is the trope, right?
It's different.
Right. He's like the master of nightmares. So lean into that heavy and just be like, yeah, of course, like it's Nightmare. So that kind of makes it more fine for me. It doesn't feel like repetitive. It feels like, oh, well, that's sort of at the core of this. So it makes perfect sense.
You're right. I'm recalling that situation from when we reviewed issue 2, and all of us kind of throwing out there who we thought it might be. I was on Ravonna Renslayer team hard. Who did you think it was? Did you think it was Sylvie or Loki?
I forget. I knew it wasn't going to be Loki, because I was talking about how if they're making this sort of a continuation from the show, that would just cheapen the sacrifice. And so,
right.
But I don't know if I put my dollar down on anything. You were very Ravonna Renslayer.
I had that fanfic headcanon was really strong. And now I just feel like, of course it was Nightmare. Duh, Ryan. But I can just see Faz reading issue 4 of TVA and doing the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's like, see? Yep, I got it. I love the reveal of Nightmare, though. Nightmare is he's a classic Marvel villain that pops up every once in a while. Mostly, I would say, associated with Doctor Strange, because that's where he got his first appearance, was in Strange Tales. But I like this idea of Nightmare working throughout the different timelines of the Marvel Universe. It makes sense why he would want to go to the TVA and inflict all this fear and dread across all these timelines. So I dig it. Like I think the choice of Catherine Blair's choice of Nightmare it fits the book. It's also it's a big enough twist where I feel like, okay, we're gonna do some stuff in the remaining issues that I think is gonna satisfy the feeling that I've had over the last few issues of, okay, where are we going? Like, where are we going? And I feel like, we're finally headed in a place where I'm just like, oh, let's get to some big superhero fights in the middle of the TVA. One small little thing, Eric, and I don't know if this is a big sticking point for you, but I have not gotten enough of Peggy Carter being Captain Carter. Like I need more Peggy Carter kicking ass with that shield. It's just my personal preference. I like Peggy being a woman of action.
Well, it is a rather big cast for not
Right.
all that many different. They don't really have to sort of split up and go and do things that often. They're sort of just trying to sequentially figure out what these different layers to the mystery is. And
Right.
so I agree. Peggy's, I guess maybe she wasn't irreverent enough, but Gwen wasn't enough of like a leader, and so they needed to kind of split those roles up and have each of those kind of
Yeah.
personalities in there. But I think that I don't know, maybe one too many different characters, or it feels a little crowded for how much time they get to shine. Like you said, this is sort of like the Gambit issue, and I'm a big Gambit fan, so I'm like,
Right.
yeah. Yes, chef, you can sit there in the kitchen and give us some smolder, but
Yes, tons of smolder. I feel like Remy can't help but deliver the smolder.
Yeah.
It's kind of just his personality. We do go to. Totally forgot this part of the plot, Eric. We go to New Orleans on Earth 616 so that the crew can follow Damon Hellstrom's what is it Ingrid calls it, like the Dewey Decimal System from hell, or maybe that sounds like a Gwen line. The Dewey Decimal System from hell follows it to a shop, and she finds a book that's important, and we're told that books are always the gateway to just the creepiest shit. Which feels like a shot at readers. It's like, you readers and your creepy shit.
Now, since this is the 616 New Orleans, did you catch the Strange Academy cameo?
I did not.
Right there on the first page of New Orleans in the yellow hoodie, we have Calvin from Strange Academy.
Oh, interesting. I love that.
So just a little Easter egg of like, yeah, this is actually the New Orleans in the 616. This isn't like a different New Orleans. And so I thought they were going to have maybe more of those sprinkled in, but hey, that was an obvious reference because that's a very clear way that he dresses typically in the Strange Academy stories.
Love it. Love it. I feel like this is probably the issue so far in TVA. We're gonna be 5 issues in just in a matter of weeks, and this is the first issue where I don't feel like we left it on a cliffhanger, really, because like we got the reveal of Nightmare, and now
Are you sure? I mean, this is pretty cliffhangery.
So, but here's the thing: I feel like we're like at the beginning of. Here's what I mean: at the beginning of issue 5, Scarlet Witch is out the bag, so Gwen's gonna have to like at least confront her or try to fight her or something like that. I feel like issue 5 is gonna start off with like a bang. Yeah. Because we just had this like big reveal of Nightmare. Scarlet Witch is free now. What is Gwen gonna do? It like we're moving into that last section of the police procedural kind of, who's the killer? Who's behind all this? Oh, it's him. Now we got to go chase the villain and try.
It goes slow and then very fast all at once.
Right.
Yeah.
That was probably what should have been saying this whole time is TVA has felt like a very procedural book until we get to the final act. And I feel like we're in the final act now, and we're going to get a lot more kind of like more typical superhero fare because the reveal has already been made. Do you have any hopes, aspirations, things you want to see in the remaining issues we have coming up?
I think I know what's gonna happen. So Scarlet Witch opens her eyes in sort of the last panel, and we're led to believe that she's a threat, because she looks kind of creepy. But I think she's going to be fighting Nightmare. I think she's going to sort of maybe there'll be a little bit of a misunderstanding with Gwen, but I think that Scarlet Witch is going to be going up against Nightmare. And just a little bit more on Scarlet Witch here, because since the last issue came out, there was a little bit of like an internet bomb that went off about like, is this the Scarlet Witch? Is this the MCU Scarlet Witch or not? We get even more confirmation that this is pretty much MCU Wanda, because it mentions how she was crushed by a mountain,
right?
or that she should have been, but then was brought here. So it's all lining up to this definitely is her, but I think the layer to that is that everything's a layer with me. Sorry, that's just how the layer there is that this feels like the comic book continuation, sort of like separate off ramp. So it is not the MCU. Obviously, it's not the MCU because it is a comic book, and it is like this. It's almost more like a hypothetical what if sort of a scenario. What if the show went in this direction?
Yeah,
It's not trying to be in the same universe as the show. I don't think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Because it's a very specific, like they're referencing Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
When they say, like, didn't this Wanda like die fighting Doctor Strange and like someone dropped a mountain on her? It's like, well, that can only be one thing.
It's very specific.
Specific. So how do you, like you were saying, like, do you think how this will play out with her fighting Nightmare? How does our band of heroes kind of factor into the rest of the story in your opinion?
That's a good question. That kind of maybe goes back to, I don't know, like we're just adding even more characters now, and I think Wanda would maybe be sufficient to go up against Nightmare. I don't know if again, if we're looking for more Peggy action, I don't know what Peggy's going to do when like a Wanda Nightmare battle. Like,
yeah, I mean, we saw in Multiverse of Madness, we saw how well Peggy did against Scarlet Witch.
Oh my gosh, So so very very effective there. So I don't know, and then we have the entire like R&D team. We have Sylvie. I mean, we haven't seen Sylvie do anything, so I don't know.
I think I agree with you. I think this book, and again, I've never written a comic. Who gives a shit what I think? But I will say this, like, I agree with you. Like, the cast feels a little too inflated for the story we're telling. And I'm connected with Gwen because I like Gwen. I'm connected with the TVA characters that I know. But like, I think, Jimmy and Ingrid, like, I just think we didn't need them in this story. Like, if you would have had, like, sure, throw like a fun Gambit variant in there. Sure, we know who Gambit is. We know what to expect from Gambit. And modern, MCU fans, they know what to expect from a Peggy Carter. Yeah. Through the what if and, and the small little cameo she got in Multiverse of Madness. I think that, like you said, like, it's just the cast is just a little too big. And I don't think I get it, like, swing for the fences, but every issue we were like getting introduced to like new, bigger, like more people. And I just feel like we could have maybe told a little bit tighter story with a smaller cast. But
I think you're right, but I think if we didn't have Mobius, B-15, Obi, and Sylvie, we would be thinking like, well, where are they? We would be like, they're missing. And so it's almost like
a TVA book.
They have to be in there. Yeah. But then there's I think I don't know. Honestly, it's the Jimmy and the Ingrid of it all. I'm just like, they're okay. They've been doing a lot. They actually have more parts, and I would rather I would rather see B-15 go out, but B-15's more of like an administrator now. I don't know.
Yeah. I would have loved for us to get to hang out with our TVA crew more in this series, but we're going to be waiting to see what happens with Nightmare, with Scarlet Witch, with Gwen, Gambit, Peggy Carter, like the whole gang. And so we're excited for issue 5. Can't wait to see what happens there, because the first line of the solicitation, Eric, says it's a time to fight. So we are going to get a fight issue. According to the solicitation, apparently we're going to get a big fight issue. And I wonder if Pere Perez has previewed any art that I just haven't seen, because he kind of lit the internet on fire when he was like, oh yeah, it's Scarlet Witch, she's back. What? No. I did love that. He really had to step that back, but it was like, hey, if you're working on this stuff, it's probably really hard not to get genuinely just really excited about what you're working on sometimes. But hey,
And I am enjoying it. I mean, I am glad that I just pulled the whole miniseries all at once.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that I did. I'm enjoying the living in the TVA world. I'm enjoying the clocks and the antics and stuff. And
The
I think
clocks are awesome.
it's very reminiscent of the show, and it's nice to spend some more time in that world because I really, Loki season 2 is just so good, and so it just makes me want to like kind of hang out there more.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. So we are going to switch over to an issue that came out a few weeks back. I mean, we're going to talk about it, but honestly, it just kind of like we were talking about bigger issues like Immortal Thor, Doctor Strange of Asgard, but eagle-eyed Thor readers and appreciators will notice that our guy Donald Thor is back. The mightiest duck in all of Ducksguard is back. I think it was last summer we got an issue that was What If Donald Duck Became Thor? And it was a retelling of Journey into Mystery 83 with Donald Duck as Donald Blake, which I love how that lined up. That, Donald Blake is Donald Duck and he becomes Thor. This is a telling of the creation of the Avengers with Mickey and his gang. Everybody, I'm not going to retell you the plot of Avengers 1. Just suffice to say, Loki still doesn't like Thor. In this retelling, I guess I am going to tell you the plot of Avengers 1. I was like, for a brief second, Eric, I was like, everybody knows the plot of Avengers 1, but someone might be listening and they don't know the plot of Avengers 1. Loki is in Asgard. He's all butthurt. And in this version, Loki is played by Gladstone Gander, famous Donald Duck kind of adversary. And we get a little story between him and Thor that ends up with Loki being in the Island of Silence. We go to Midgard, and Donald Duck and Daisy are walking through the park, and they see Goofy Hulk, who is stealing a cake, and Donald Thor is like, okay, I know who has to be behind this, and he flies off to Asgard to go find. I'm getting all the names mixed up, Eric. He flies back to Ducksguard to stop Gladstone Gander Loki, while Mickey Iron Man, Pluto Ant-Man, Minnie Wasp all get together and they stop Goofy Hulk. I cannot understate enough how little Mickey does in this issue. How next to fucking nothing Mickey does in this issue. But they stop Goofy Hulk. Really, Goofy Hulk stops himself. Like, he just decides to stop after he's jumped away a lot, and he eats the cake. And when they get back to the park, it's a little bit of the cake is left. But Donald Thor is actually, like, this is a Donald Duck as Thor issue, just with the Avengers name on it. Because Donald's really the only person that gets to do a lot in this book. We do see Daisy transform into Daisy Sif, which was awesome. I thought her costume was fantastic. Donald Thor goes, stops Loki, comes back, and then they do the classic, what should we call ourselves? We should be a team. We should avenge those who are facing evil. And then there's we need like a battle chant, and they say Avengers Assemble at the end. That was probably a really meandering synopsis of Avengers 1, a comic that I've read many, many times. But Eric, what did you think of Mickey and Friends, really Donald Duck, becoming the Avengers? Did you enjoy this issue? What was, it's pretty clearly a kid's comic, but, it's fun enough.
It was definitely in the spirit of the first What If Donald Duck Became Thor, because that retelling, there are some panels where it's like verbatim from the original story, and it looks like it's such a cool twist because you're like, I recognize that. I remember that story. I remember when he does that. So we have the same thing here. We have the floating eyes in the sky.
I love it. That was my favorite part of the book.
Yeah. They don't do enough floating eyes anymore,
No.
So.
Anybody on the Thor team? We need more floating eyes in our Thor books.
How are we supposed to know what they're looking at if the eyes aren't floating in the sky menacingly? You know. So some of the panels, just like it's such a tribute to history. It's such an iconic thing. It really tributizes the source material. And there were some fun twists, you know, like in the original, Loki makes Hulk see a stick of dynamite on train tracks that's not really there, and that's why he goes and destroys the train tracks. And in this one, he makes Hulk Goofy see the cake as a monster, and that's why he goes after the cake. So there's the same kinds of motivation through it. It's just not, you know, the same exact scenarios. I would say that the names did get a little tedious every single time you read Lady Daisy Sif and Gladstone Loki, and you know, it's a lot,
a tongue twister.
But it does remind you who they are, because it's just a mashup of all the different names. Scrooge, Odin, and oh my god.
Oh yeah, Scrooge Odin. Uncle Scrooge as Odin. That fits pretty well.
Yeah.
It fits pretty well. Like I just said, my favorite part of this was the references to classic Kirby art and Silver Age art from those original like Avengers run. The floating eyes in the sky. The costumes, like I thought the artist, oh gosh, I'm the name is escaping me at this point, so I'll just go to the credits. Oh, for Pete's sake, Ryan, you're better than this.
I'm looking right at it. I don't know if I can pronounce it though.
Alessandro Pastrovico. And Lucio Rivadati on the colors. I loved the way they did Donald Thor's armor again. I'm not sure if this was the same art team on the Donald Duck Thor book, but I loved they made his armor look so badass. And we're talking about essentially a Walt Disney cartoon. Yeah. And I thought Daisy Sif's armor was also fantastic. Here's where the book fell. This is so crazy. Here's where the book fell a little short. I love that we got a Thor centric story, and Loki, Gladstone Gander as Loki was also awesome. I feel like really this was his book. But outside of Goofy, the other three members of the Mickey Avengers, Mickey, Minnie, and Pluto, really didn't do anything. It was kind of like, oh, right, we got to put Mickey in this book, but Mickey didn't really do anything. And Minnie teaming up with Pluto is kind of fun, but Minnie does a little bit more, but Pluto doesn't really do anything in this book. It was very kind of imbalanced. It's like Thor does most of the work, like 90% of it. And then the rest of the team is like, oh yeah, we had like our one moment, but really this is kind of like a Thor book with an Avengers masthead in my opinion. Yeah.
Which is fine with me, because I like Thor the best anyway.
Totally fine. Yeah, like it's just okay. So, listeners, I have 2 young kids, and when you have young kids and you have Disney Plus, you end up through their very infantile years, you watch a lot of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and the most badass meta line in any form of media I've ever seen was an episode of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Listeners, stick with me here, where this whole episode is about Mickey, and Mickey has a problem and he can't fix it. Mickey goes to Donald and asks him to help fix this problem. And Donald says to camera, "Why in the world is everything always about Mickey?" Ooh. And I'm like, I turned to my wife. I was like, this is so fucking meta right now. And she's like, it's a program for kindergartners. But that's how I kind of I felt about this crossover. It was like, oh, Mickey and Friends. It's like, let's be honest. Donald Thor is getting most of the press here because he's doing almost all of it. Any other final thoughts on Mickey and Friends become the Avengers #1?
There was not enough Teen Brigade with their ham radios. We just glossed over that.
Yes.
I mean, there's a radio transmission, but I looked back in the original Avengers 1 and I was like, no shit, it's the Teen Brigade. It's a whole it's fan club with the ham radio hobbyists are the ones alerting everybody.
Oh God, that is, you know what? Underrated part of Avengers 1 is the Teen Brigade.
That's so 60s. That's so like ham radio clubs and stuff.
The last thing I'll say about this issue is towards the end of the issue, we get some of the original sketches that Alessandro Pastorico did for this, and we get all the Avengers and Gladstone Gander. I love this sketch of Donald as Thor. Like, I'm not an art collector like you and Faz. But that is a piece like I would love a piece like that, because it's so clean, it's so cool. Like, he just makes him look so, honestly, like I would love like a Funko Pop of that or something like that. Very cool. Apparently we're getting Donald as Iron Man, even though that's the issue that they're promoting at the end of this book, even though we just saw Mickey as Iron Man. So Donald is getting, and Donald was Wolverine a few months back. Donald's getting a lot of play with these Marvel crossovers.
It's Donald's world, and we're all just living in it. I think he just turned like 80 or something, didn't he? Wasn't that the big celebration recently?
Congrats, big guy. 80's a good number. Speaking of crossovers, Eric, we don't have any more new issues to talk about on today's episode, but literally today, as we were getting ready to do this episode, some big crossover related news did drop, and it's like literally like the comic gods were like, "Hey, Ryan, would you like to be the happiest you've been in a while when it comes to comics?" It was announced by Marvel on their social media, and they also posted an article on their website that this Godzilla crossover series that we're getting with the Avengers, Fantastic Four, Hulk, X-Men, we are getting in July Godzilla versus Thor #1, written by, yeah, you fucking guessed it, Jason Aaron.
Oh, shit.
It's so many things in that, like Godzilla, check. Thor, check. Jason Aaron, check. It's like literally someone read my mind, was inside my dream comics world, and was like, hey, we're going to give him that one. And so Eric, being the erstwhile researcher that he is, dredged up a transcript of us talking to Jason Aaron. And apparently we had asked him what's like a crossover or something you would want to do. And he said like he loves these kind of like crazy crossovers. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about how, like, you know, things like, you know, when the Ninja Turtles fight the Justice League, or, you know, things like that, like just batshit insane stuff. You know, the crazier the crossover, the better. And I feel like Jason Aaron writing a Godzilla book would just be, I mean, what hasn't the man done? You know, well, why the hell not? But him getting to come back to Thor, I mean, always. It's like when Walt Simonson writes a Thor story. Like, we'll always be happy when Jason writes Thor. But Eric, I've got to know, like, I'm a lifelong Godzilla fan, lifelong Thor fan. You know, so this like makes sense for me. Like, do you have any connection with Godzilla? Is that a franchise that you're overly familiar with, or it's just like it's fucking Godzilla? Like, who's not excited about a giant lizard?
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. Flashback to me in middle school when the Godzilla movie was coming out with that P. Diddy song on the soundtrack. And I bought the album and it was such a great soundtrack. Was that like 2000?
That Matthew Broderick's version of Godzilla?
Yeah.
So that's Zilla Godzilla. Okay.
That was a sweet movie. I think I saw it twice in theaters. It was awesome.
Oh my God. Yes.
I was like, this is amazing, because it was like the first real CGI Godzilla. I think it was the first like modern.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. Saw like I said, saw it multiple times. I didn't get in on, like, I feel like a few years ago there was this kaiju got real big all of a sudden, and we saw kaiju coming up in more comics, and there's been this resurgence of Godzilla. We went from getting a Godzilla movie every 10 years to now getting one like every couple of years or so, I think, right? It's much more prevalent now. So I didn't really get bit by that bug recently, but I think a lot of the kaiju stuff gets a little bit, there's a lot of kaiju. There's so many different things. And I think if you're going to have one, have the king of the kaiju, and that's Godzilla.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's always a place for him because he's really the best, I think, in terms of when you're going to have big monsters.
Oh yeah. It's, like you said, if you're going to get somebody, get the king. Like, it's really no substitute for it. And for those of you that maybe don't know as much about like where Godzilla has been in comics over the last few years, Godzilla's been over at DC doing crossovers with King Kong and with the Justice League. And those Justice League versus Kong versus Godzilla books have been awesome. Like it's so much fun. It's just it's campy Saturday morning cartoons, but in the best way. And a few more years back, there was a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers versus Godzilla, and that was it was fucking bonkers in the best way. It was so good. Like at one point, Godzilla and Mothra fight a Megazord. I don't need you to tell me fucking anything else. Like that is all I need to hear. And I feel like that is like for kids that like grew up on cartoons and like zany comics, stuff like that. These are the books I honestly get so stinking excited for. And if you tell me my favorite superhero is gonna fight like the king of kaiju monster movies, I'm there with bells on. Like I'm so down for this. In the Marvel article though, we get a little bit of a hint of like maybe what our story is going to be. Eric, do you want to maybe tell listeners what the story could involve, what it could be?
They give us very little, but we know that it says that the preceding books are going to be taking place in different sort of time periods throughout the Marvel universe, and that this is really going to be the grand finale. This is going to be Godzilla marches towards the Golden Realm, and it's sort of the final battle. So I think there's going to be a little bit sort of out of place in time kind of things with X-Men in the 90s and Hulk in the 70s, things like that. So it's not going to be, I don't think the continuity is too important. I think it's more about we want to have Godzilla attacking during these certain sort of like eras in famous Marvel history. But then the actual story, it seems like there's something going on with the Hand, which is like that's the ninja group, right? That is sort of Daredevil related. But I only remember that because I remember the Hand was created, and then in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles they called theirs the Foot.
Oh my God, that's so good.
I do want to shout out the artist on this is going to be Aaron Cooter. And that name, it's not like a famous name to me. It's not like, oh, instantly recognizable. I'm like, oh, I know all of his back catalog of stuff. But I was looking through and I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is the guy that brought the Iron Fist Thor to life in Avengers Forever.
Yeah.
And he
badass look.
He did a just like super clean, but still like really dynamic at the same time. He did the 2023 Daredevil run. So again, just I think it's just really, I don't know. The word clean comes to mind. It's like, it's really intentional. It's not too sketchy or dark, or it's just it's right down home plate for me in terms of the art style I like.
Yeah. It's, he's just going to be, to continue the baseball metaphor, he's just going to be pitching gas the entire time.
Yeah.
It's fastballs just right down the middle. Jason's definitely set up to hit a home run. In the Marvel article, Jason does say a little bit about, this book. This is him in the article. There are as many kaiju toys in my office as there are Mjolnirs, and you can imagine a guy that wrote Thor for as long as he did. We got a lot of Mjolnirs, which is really saying something. So it made sense for me to bring two of my favorite characters together for one titanic clash. Aaron Cooter and I are using the Godzilla from Giant Monsters All Out Attack. That is a older generation of Godzilla, decades old at this point, but a very very cool version. One of the most brutal and powerful versions of the King of the Monsters. So epic, a colossal battle that I think it will rival some of the most epic cosmic throwdowns I've ever written with the God of Thunder. Now, Thor fans, the reason why we're telling you this and why I wanted you to hear what Jason Aaron said about this upcoming crossover is just think to yourself, recall all of the humongous clashes that Jason has done. And he's saying this is one of the most epic clashes he's ever done. How could it not be? It's Godzilla versus Thor. Good fucking grief. Lightning aplenty. I'm very curious to see how this fight will play out, because the Thor is one of those, he's one of those Marvel heroes that he could conceivably fight Godzilla by himself. He doesn't need the Avengers. It's like Hulk. Like Hulk doesn't need the Avengers for this. He doesn't need a team of other people. Like the Fantastic Four, how are the Fantastic Four going to fight Godzilla? It's like it's going to take some Reed shenanigans, and the thing's going to have to, like talk a big game, but then get like stomped into the ground. Like it's just some of these potential crossovers, Eric. I'm like, oh, I totally get how that one could play out. In the Thor one, I'm like, okay, cool. They're essentially equal. Like Thor is a cosmic level hero. Mm-hmm. But the Fantastic Four one, I'm like, okay. The Spider-Man, I believe that they're doing a Spider-Man crossover. I'm like, okay, how in the world is that gonna? How is that gonna work? Like, I'm just gonna double check that like I'm not just talking out my butt there. But is there anything you want to see from this book, with it being such a zany big clash, and knowing how Jason Aaron usually writes these big showdowns?
I think anybody could take this premise and just be like, oh, it writes itself. No, it doesn't. Jason Aaron's going to write it.
Yeah.
And Jason Aaron is a fucking amazing writer. And I'm reading Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles right now. I'm reading Bug Wars right now. Faz is on my case because I got a couple of issues of Absolute Superman and then dropped it. But Jason Aaron is such a good writer. So he's not just going to write big. He's going to like make it cool and meaningful, and I'm expecting he's just going to write the shit out of it. And so that I'm excited for, in addition to big monster fight. Right.
Your big monster fight, but also like there will be a curveball. There will be like I'm really interested in if Jason takes the world building approach, because that's one thing he's known for. He loves to build worlds. Anyone that read Bug Wars #1 knows that's true. He's a master at building out, the context of a fight. So I'm curious to see if he toys around with some world building in the world of Godzilla, like he has done with Thor and so many other books in the past. But man, Eric, that's like really something I'm just super excited for. Is there anything in the Thor upcoming stuff that we haven't really talked about yet that you're excited for? We got a few books on the horizon that would be worth mentioning if you feel like it.
There's a few things coming out. I feel like, I mean, the ones that come to mind for me, we've at least touched on them a few times because we're looking months in the future now. I will say, if readers didn't already look, the previews dropped for Marvel, and so now we've got a cover image of Thor 24. Check it out at your own risk. It's not really a spoiler. It's sort of an image we've seen already, but it does sort of confirm that the end is nigh and that we're approaching.
Oh boy.
oh boy.
I'm just going to take a look at it. Well, it's not on marvel.com yet. I'll look at it later.
It looks like the image that we've seen a bunch of times all the way back to the Thor annual, where we see Thor like with some wounds, bloodied on the bridge, holding the hammer, the axe, and the belt. It's really sort of it's an Alex Ross version of that, and so
very cool. Well, and we knew, from the cover of 23, we know he's in the like the dead city. So how do you get to a dead city? Well, I would imagine you don't get there because you lived long enough. Anything else? We've got
We got Strange of Asgard coming up. We've got in May, we have a Incredible Hulk versus Thor in a Hulk book, Hulk 25.
drawn by Nick Klein.
Yeah.
Always good. Always good to have Nick Klein's art on your pull list, everybody.
And then, of course, we've mentioned, we've got a Hercules appearance, and Hercules with Thor on the cover of Miles Morales' Spider-Man 32. That'll be in the first week of April, it looks like, with a little arc with some gods teaming up with Miles Morales, it looks like.
Yeah. Another thing people can look forward to is Thor is about to show up in the Storm book. And one of Eric and I's personal favorite artists, Luciano Vecchio, is going to be doing the art for that.
Yeah.
And very excited to see just how he makes our guy look. Like, I'm sure it'll be amazing, but I'm very curious as to like what his take on Thor will be. And then also, this is a book that Faz would absolutely just kill us if we didn't mention. But we have Ultimates number 11 coming up, and it is a like Thor Sif all-out adventure against Loki. So,
and wait, didn't we also hear that it's going to be an Oops All Splash Pages?
You know what? That sounds correct. Again, Baz may have told us that 1,000 times, and I'm just like, that sounds somewhat correct. Right. But no, that would be fitting for how epic they're making this book sound. But we're gonna all get caught up on it, and we're gonna do Ultimates 11 as a review. But there's a lot to love coming up, and we're excited to cover most of the things that talk about Thor. We've also got some potential for some really cool interviews coming up. There's one that Eric and I are especially excited about. We won't tell you who it is just yet, but we are personally very hyped for this.
Yes.
So if you haven't checked out our Bernard Chang interview, please go do that. That was a whole heck of a lot of fun, and I feel like Bernard warmed up to us over over the course of it, Eric. And we could have talked about basketball. We could have talked about all sorts of things, comics, of course. But that interview was a lot of fun. I encourage everybody to go check that out. Eric, you got any parting shots for the listeners for ATB before we jump board the Rainbow Bridge?
As in TVA, hopefully we're wrapping up and learning what the madness is. We are also in the midst of March Madness. And so wouldn't it be fun? It's bracket season everywhere. So I'm just saying, wouldn't it be fun if there was a bracket we could do with Thor content to kind of discuss, to argue? We're not short on opinions here. So something like that would be fun probably in the next couple weeks or so.
Yeah, we have, as Eric effectively teased, we do have something kind of cooking, but we want to make sure that more hosts are available for it. So we're going to hold off on it until we can all get together, and we are going to deliver probably like an episode where we all have a beer nearby, and we just eventually start arguing with each other.
A little more unhinged. Yeah.
If you enjoy when we play it a little fast and loose, let's just say we're cooking something that you're going to eat up with a spoon. But everybody, thank you for checking this episode out. I hope that you will consider checking out the links in the episode description. We've got one there for Patreon. If you want to support us at the next level, that'd be awesome. It just helps us pay a few bills around here. Nothing too crazy. You get some bonus episodes, some early episodes, and our eternal thanks, if that is of any value to you. You can also check us out on Instagram. If you have thoughts on TVA number 4 or Mickey and friends becoming the Avengers or this Godzilla versus Thor news, if any of that is something you want to talk about, check us out on Instagram, and you can also continue this conversation on Discord. All of our hosts kind of just hang out on Discord, and we have a small but mighty band of fantastic people over on Discord if you want to join the conversation. And everybody, this has been a great episode. Eric, thanks for riding shotgun. And I appreciate, I don't know, man, just like another solid week of Thor related comics, some really big Thor news. This may be an episode that someone looks at and they're just like, doesn't look like a lot of Thor stuff. But hey, Thor stuff is everywhere. Thor stuff is ever present, Eric. We are going to hop aboard the Rainbow Bridge. We're going to get out of here. So remember, everybody, whatever you're doing, no matter who you're with, whether you've descended into the basement and a nightmare awaits you, or if you and your friends have been turned into cartoon characters and one of you really gets to be the star. Let's be honest, in our constellation, it would be Faz. Faz would be our Donald Thor. Whatever is going on in your life, whether you're getting prepared to fight a giant lizard in July, we just hope that you do one thing, and that is stay worthy. My cat was an asshole this entire episode.
Hey, I only noticed it once, so I think you did a good job covering it.
She tried to. I have this little space in between me and the laptop. She tried to climb up here, and she was trying to like rub her butt up against the mic. So she was like trying to bump it. So
what's this do? Oh,
what does this do? It pisses me off, is what it does.